Hi there! This is the third and final video in our three-part series on founder in horses.
In the first video, we looked at the causes and symptoms of founder. In the second, we explored what happens inside the hoof during founder, the internal mechanisms, and how to trim a foundered hoof to restore balance.
In this video, we'll focus on caring for a foundered horse, covering their needs, diet, movement, always with an eye on comfort, supporting their healing process. If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe.
Let's start with the diet of a foundered horse.
As I mentioned in the first video, it's really crucial to avoid feeding a foundered horse anything that could trigger a new episode of acute laminitis. This is extremely important if your horse suffers of an underlying condition like PPID, EMS, that would increase the risk of laminitis.
As I explained in the first video, too much sugar or starch can trigger laminitis, so we must try to avoid them as much as possible in the diet of a foundered horse. So try to avoid feeding your horse too much fruit, such as apples, pears, plums, berries, and so on. While carrots are commonly used as treats, they are high in sugar and should be considered an occasional indulgence. For metabolically sensitive horses, even a full carrot a day might be too much. Stick to small portions, no more than a quarter of a carrot daily. Always cut carrots into small pieces to prevent esophageal obstruction. Rich spring or autumn pastures, where fructan can reach its heights point, must absolutely be avoided. While horses often enjoy these sweet treats, they are high in sugar and can contribute to insulin spikes, which is exactly what we want to avoid in a foundered or metabolically sensitive horse. Dried bread, on the other hand, contains a lot of starch and should be avoided in the diet of a foundered horse. As a general rule, fresh bread should never be part of a horse's diet, even for healthy ones. It can ferment or swell in the gut, leading to colic or other digestive issues. Bread is made from wheat flour and offers no real nutritional value for horses. Corn should be avoided for horses with laminitis because it is high in starch and sugar, which can trigger insulin spikes and worsen the condition. It also disrupts gut balance by fermenting in the hindgut and offers little fiber to support healthy digestion. And yet, it's still commonly used in commercial feeds because it's cheap, calorie-dense, and helps bulk up the mix. Standard commercial horse feed often contains high levels of sugar and starch to make it tastier.
So now we know what we shouldn't feed the horse, but the real question is, what should we feed them that actually support their health and recovery?
Hay should always be the main source of nutrition for horses. Their digestive system is designed for the constant intake of fibrous forage, which makes hay essential for keeping their gut healthy. It also plays a big role in their mental well-being, as the repetitive chewing helps reduce stress and boredom. This is especially true when hay is offered in slow feeders or hay nets. On top of that, hay helps with weight management by providing essential fiber and bulk without packing in too many calories, as long as the type and quantity are right. Consistent access to hay also helps buffer stomach acid and keeps the digestive system moving, which lowers the risk of ulcers and colic. While other food sources can be useful, they should only serve as a complement to a solid foundation of good quality hay, never as a replacement. While good quality hay can provide the basic nutritional needs for most horses, there are situations where supplementation becomes necessary. Older horses, or those with dental issues, may struggle to chew and digest hay efficiently. In winter, especially during harsh conditions, some horses may require extra calories to maintain weight and energy. Soaking hay helps reducing sugar for metabolically sensitive horses. But the downside It will also wash away essential vitamins and minerals. Additionally, horses recovering from illness or dealing with chronic conditions like PPID or EMS often benefit from a carefully balanced diet that hay alone cannot provide. So if hay alone doesn't meet your horse's needs, be aware that many commercial brands now offer low sugar and low starch formulations. These are more suitable for metabolically sensitive horses, such as those with laminitis, PPID, or EMS. If you decide to feed your foundered horse an industrial mix, make sure it's specifically designed for sensitive horses. Always check the non-structural carbohydrate content, NSC, and aim for the lowest possible value, ideally below 10% for high-risk individuals. If we now take a look at an industrial horse feed brand like Nutrena, and we analyze the content of their maintenance category, we see that it contains 5% sugar, which seems relatively low, but also 20% starch, which is on the higher side. In this case, calculating the NSC is straightforward because the brand provides all the necessary information. NSC, or non-structural carbohydrates, is simply the sum of the percentage of sugar and starch. So we add 5% sugar and 20% starch, which gives us an NSC of 25%. That is considered quite high for horses that are sensitive to sugar and starch, such as those with insulin resistance or metabolic issues. So we need to avoid this category. If we now take a look at Nutrena's special care category, we see that it contains 3% sugar, which is low, and 7% starch, which is also relatively low. To calculate the NSC, we simply add 3% sugar and 7% starch, which gives us an NSC of 10%. That is considered appropriate for a horse that has foundered or is prone to laminitis. Although many reputable brands now offer low sugar and low starch feeds, these products often come in pelleted form, designed to be consumed that way. The downside is that horses tend to consume pellets quickly, which doesn't align with their natural grazing behavior. Unlike predators that eat 1 or 2 large meals a day, horses are trickle feeders. They are designed to eat small amounts continuously throughout the day. Quick consumption of concentrated feeds like pellets offers little chewing time, less saliva production, and may lead to digestive discomfort. It may also still trigger a relatively fast glycemic response in the blood compared to feeds that take longer to chew and swallow. It's important to remember that a horse's digestive system is built for continuous grazing, consuming small amounts of fibrous material throughout the day. Chewing plays a crucial role in this process, both for proper digestion and for maintaining gut health. In addition, chewing stimulates saliva production, which helps buffer stomach acid, an important factor in preventing gastric ulcers. So while pelleted feeds may meet nutritional targets, they often fall short in supporting the horse's natural feeding behavior and digestive health. In contrast, a custom mash made from soaked beet pulp, alfalfa, and barley bran slows down intake. Slower intake not only helps reduce glycemic spikes, but also prevents boredom. Increased chewing time supports digestion and saliva production, while the added moisture improves hydration and promotes a feeling of fullness. Most importantly, this approach allows me to tailor the feed precisely to each horse's needs, avoiding excessive sugar or starch, especially for foundered horses.
Let's now take a look at how I feed my own horse. This example is tailor-made for an Arabian mare suffering from PPID. But keep in mind that every horse is different: breed, size, age, and medical conditions.
Our horses are based in Western Europe, where we have a mild climate. Keep in mind that your local climate can also influence the dosage your horse may need. Do not forget that overweight contributes to laminitis. Always consult with your vet before making any drastic changes to your horse's diet. The amounts shown here may need to be adjusted based on your horse's specific needs. In the winter mornings, I give my foundered mare the following as a complement to her hay: 900 grams of beet pulp, 450 grams of alfalfa, 50 grams of barley bran, 40 grams of pea flakes. In the winter evenings, I give my foundered mare the following as a complement to her hay: 900 grams of beet pulp, 150 grams of alfalfa, 50 grams of alfalfa hay. During summer, I slightly lower the overall dosage and do not use pea flakes in the mix. Due to the warm weather, the horse requires less energy. All of this is placed in a bucket and mixed together by hand. I fill my 12-litre bucket almost to the brim with water and let it soak for at least 4 hours. This is extremely important when it comes to beet pulp. Although it often comes in pellet form, it should never be fed dry. Beet pulp expands significantly when soaked. If you were to feed it dry and your horse drinks afterwards, it could lead to an esophageal obstruction. This is what it looks like after 4 hours. To each prepared mash, I add some supplements. This is the daily dosage. Garlic 2 grams as natural support for the immune system. Garlic can also help repel insects and support respiratory health, especially useful in summer months. Always used in moderation, as high doses can affect red blood cells. I also add linseed, flaxseed, oil 50 milliliter as a rich source of omega-3 fatty acids, which help reduce inflammation and support healthy skin, coat, and joints. It also adds slow-release energy, especially useful in colder months without spiking blood sugar. Always store your linseed oil in the fridge. Please take note that when feeding higher amounts of linseed oil, it's essential to supplement with vitamin E, as increased fat intake raises the horse's antioxidant requirements. I always add vitamin E as per recommended dosage as crucial antioxidant that supports muscle health and the nervous system. Especially important for horses on hay-only diets or limited pasture, as fresh grass is the main natural source. Laminase or other herbal blends for founder support. These typically contain herbs like milk thistle for liver support and magnesium for nerve and muscle health, and are designed to support metabolic balance, reduce inflammation, and promote hoof circulation in foundered horses. Biotin for hoof health. Biotin is a B vitamin that supports strong hoof wall growth. Horses with founder often benefit from extra hoof support to help the new hoof grow stronger and more healthy. Dinner is served. Slow feeding, good chewing, and healthier horses. But remember that once prepared, the horse needs to eat it within 6 hours. Since this is a custom-made mash, we need to calculate the non-structural carbohydrates, NSC, manually. Unlike commercial feeds, where the NSC value is often provided by the manufacturer, we must determine the NSC content of each ingredient ourselves by combining its percentage of starch and sugar, and then adjusting for the actual quantity used in the mix. Let's now take a look at the NSC values for each ingredient. Barley bran contains 25% starch and 2% sugars, which gives it an NSC of 27%. Pea flakes contain 10% starch and 5% sugars, resulting in an NSC of 15%. Alfalfa contains 7.5% starch and 4% sugars, making the NSC 11.5%. Beet pulp has 0.5% starch and 5.5% sugars, resulting in an NSC of 6%. Some beet pulp products may contain higher levels of added molasses, which significantly increases their sugar content. Always check the sugar percentage on the packaging, as this can drastically influence the overall NSC of your mix. To calculate the total NSC contribution, we multiply the percentage NSC of each ingredient by the actual dry matter weight used in our mix. For example, barley bran, 0.05 kilogram multiplicate by 27% is 0.014. We calculate this for all ingredients. Then adding these values together gives the total NSC in our morning ration, namely 0.125 kilogram of starch and sugars. The total dry weight of the mix is 1.44 kilogram. To find the overall NSC percentage of the complete morning feed, we divide the total NSC content, namely 0.125, by the total dry weight, namely 1.44, and multiply by 100. What is approximately 8.7% NSC? This result is within the safe range for horses prone to laminitis, as feeds with an NSC below 10% are generally recommended for such cases. If, for any practical reason, you're not able to prepare your own custom mix, be aware that there are ready-made options available on the market. These still need to be soaked, usually for about 15 minutes, but they save you time and effort. The downside is that they are generally less adjustable to your horse's specific needs and tend to be more expensive than a homemade mix. Now that we've covered the diet of a foundered horse, let's look at how to manage them in daily life. First, let's talk about pasture turnout and why it can be risky. As mentioned earlier, grass can be extremely dangerous for horses prone to laminitis, especially in spring and autumn, but also in summer or winter under certain conditions. But what exactly makes grass so risky for a foundered horse? The main culprit is fructan, a type of sugar produced through photosynthesis. Under ideal growing conditions, mild nights and sunny days, grass uses this fructan immediately for growth. But when growth conditions aren't met, the grass stores fructan in its lower parts, stem and base, for later use. This means that when grass is under stress, fructan levels can build up significantly. So what stresses grass? Primarily, a combination of cold nights followed by sunny, warmer days, a common weather pattern in spring and autumn. That's why these seasons pose the highest risk. But don't be fooled. Dangerously high fructan levels can also occur in summer during droughts, or in winter when nights are cold and days are bright and sunny. That's why it's important to monitor pasture access year-round and understand which weather conditions can trigger fructan spikes. Other stressors for grass include excessive mowing, overgrazing, and frost. Now we know fructan is the troublemaker, but why? When a horse consumes too much fructan, it overwhelms the hindgut, upsetting the microbial balance. This disturbance can lead to the release of endotoxins, which may enter the bloodstream. What may trigger laminitis? An inflammation of the sensitive laminae in the hooves. So when is it safest for a laminitis-prone horse to graze? The safest times are when the grass is taller, mature, and when the weather is mild, overcast, or rainy. Here's why. Taller grass has already used much of its fructan for growth. Plus, the fructan that is stored tends to be diluted over a larger plant mass, especially in the stem and base. Cloudy, rainy, with warm nights reduce photosynthesis and stress. Less sunlight means less fructan is produced, and warmer nights allow the grass to use up the fructan it made during the day. To briefly recap, the safest time for your horse to graze is when the grass is tall and healthy. Fructan is mostly found at the base of the grass, so it's less accessible for your horse when the plant has grown tall. Fructan production is driven by photosynthesis, meaning more sunlight, more fructan. On cloudy or rainy days, and during mild weather with already warm nights, less fructan is produced, and what is produced can be used up by the plant overnight for growth. That's why the early morning is generally the safest time for grazing. The plant has had all night to consume fructan, so levels are naturally lower. Grazing is not advised. On short or stressed grass, such as overgrazed or recently mown pasture, after a cold night followed by a sunny morning, during drought or frost, as these conditions stress the grass and cause it to accumulate more fructan. The riskiest time of day to graze is the late afternoon or early evening, when the plant has had all day to produce fructan, but no time yet to use it. Let's continue with the topic of how to provide movement, a vital part of recovery, even when traditional turnout isn't possible. Now that we've discussed the risks of fructans in grass, it's clear that turnout on pasture, especially during high-risk periods like spring and autumn, can be dangerous for laminitic horses. Still, movement is essential for recovery. It improves blood flow, supports hoof healing, and benefits the horse's overall health. So how can we keep our horse moving without exposing him to risky grass? The best solution is a track system without access to grass. A well-designed track encourages natural movement while avoiding the fructan-related dangers of pasture. Soft surfaces like sand provide comfort to sore hooves, but it's important to offer a variety of footings. Changing terrain stimulates body awareness and supports long-term soundness. As your horse recovers, he'll become more comfortable walking on firmer ground too. Rounded pebbles are especially helpful for horses recovering from laminitis. The rolling of the stones under the hoof gently stimulates circulation. Just make sure your horse has the freedom to step off any surface he finds uncomfortable. Over time, and with proper hoof care, as explained in my second video, he'll naturally start exploring various terrains like sand, wood chips, hard soil, or smooth pebbles, all of which support blood flow and hoof health. In 2024, we built our own track system, and our horses are absolutely loving it. They move more, explore more, and seem happier overall. It's been one of the best decisions we've made for their health and well-being. Reducing stress and offering social contact can also support healing. A relaxed horse will recover faster, physically and mentally.
So what if a full track system isn't possible for you, but you know that movement is important for your horse? Then you may consider a grazing muzzle. Just make sure that the grazing muzzle fits your horse and doesn't cause any discomfort at all, but it limits cross intake.
The best grazing muzzle I've found is the one from Thin Line. It's soft, doesn't rub, and allows the horse to breathe freely. Other muzzles without a nasal opening were pure torture for my horse, especially during the summer heat. With Thin Line, she never refuses to wear it, which is saying a lot. With other brands, I had to negotiate endlessly with her. Not that she ever cared much for my little speeches about her health concerns. Going barefoot is the goal, but comfort comes first. If your horse is still sore, don't push it. In this next part, I'll show you how hoof boots can help support sensitive feet until your horse is ready to go barefoot comfortably. If your horse is still transitioning and has sore feet, instead of shoeing, consider using hoof boots like the RX from Easy Care. Before I took my trimming course, and before we had our track system, the only thing that gave my horse relief while walking was wearing her boots. I personally preferred the RX boots over the Cloud model from Easy Care. They seemed more durable and offered better protection over time. I also added pads inside the boots to cushion her sore soles. These days, there are more options available, such as glue-on shoes. I've never tried them myself, but they might work for some horses. The one thing I would never choose for my horse is traditional shoeing, especially nailing into an already compromised hoof. Nailed or glued shoes may offer protection, but they make it hard to keep up with consistent trimming, which is essential during recovery. I trim my horse every 2 weeks to keep her heels low and prevent the toe from stretching. That's why I prefer using hoof boots. They protect sore feet, while still allowing me to maintain the natural shape of the hoof during the transition to barefoot. With the right diet, proper trimming, and thoughtful turnout, even a severe case of founder can recover to the point of moving comfortably barefoot.
My own horse suffered from severe rotation, a textbook of laminitis. But yet, she is walking just fine on different surfaces. I never thought it would be possible. It took time, consistent hoof care, and the right environment, but recovery is possible. a diet low in sugar and starch, regular barefoot trims. The freedom of movement makes all the difference. If there's any topic you want me to cover in a future video, feel free to leave a comment below. I'd love to hear from you. Our next topic will be about colics, so stay tuned.